Setting up DHCP on Windows Server 2022. So here's the server running in the first step. When we set up Active Directory, we used a static IP address. Okay, so the client was on 10.10.10.2 and the server was on 10.10.10.1, and hopefully we still have a response. Well, we will still have a response when we start the client. I'm not going to start the client quite yet because we've got some configuration to do on the server. So let's just check our IP configuration, IP config. So here we are, we're 10.10.10.1 and 255.255.255.0, and we do have this second adapter that's on NAT or bridged mode that we can use to get access to the internet. But our domain, our Active Directory domain, is running on this internal LAN that we've set up on 10.10.10.1. So the domain controller has a static IP address at the moment, and hopefully it'll stay like that. And we're going to now try and add the DHCP role to the domain controller. So I'm going to go in the same way that we always add roles. We go, and also if we go to the dashboard, you'll see, don't worry about these errors here, we'll see we've got Active Directory, domain services, DNS, and file and storage services. What I'm also going to do is just grab a snapshot at this point, and we'll call this before setting up DHCP, just in case it all goes horribly wrong. Okay, and if I go to the snapshot manager, you'll see as I've been working my way through, started with a fresh installation, then we installed Active Directory, then we went for an SSH installation, and this is where we are today before setting up DHCP. So we go to manage and we go to add roles and features, and then the add roles and features wizard should load up. We want a role-based installation, and it will be on this server. This is the only server that we have in the pool. Now, what we want to do is select DHCP server, okay, and it's going to say, do we want the role DHCP server? Yes. Do we want management tools? Yes, we want the DHCP server management tools. So we'll add that, and then just click next. Just click next and just accept the defaults. Now, it says here, before you install the DHCP server, you should plan your subnets and store the plan in a safe place for later reference. What a sensible suggestion that is. Bit of documentation. Okay, so we're going to tick the box to say restart the destination server if required. So when we click install, if a restart is required, then we'll allow that to take place. So let's just hit install there. The feature is now installed. The installation is now complete, and we now have a couple of ways we can get in and set up the configuration. We've got the little amber exclamation mark up here, or we could click here to complete the DHCP configuration. But I'm just going to click close. Okay, I'm going to minimize my command line, and we'll see that we now have the DHCP role in our server. And if we click on this little icon up here, it's going to say complete the DHCP configuration. So let's complete the DHCP configuration and click next. And we're now going to authorize this scope, and we're going to authorize it using the administrator's credentials. And then just hit close. And wasn't that I think it's called a labour of Sisyphus, but the ancient Greek legend where he had to push a boulder up the hill and then it rolled back down again. That's a labour of Sisyphus, that. So, now that we've completed the post-deployment configuration, which involved clicking on 2 buttons, we can now go to Tools and click on DHCP. And this will open up the DHCP Management Console, the MMC, Microsoft Management Console for DHCP. And it's the same as our Active Directory users and computers. So let's have a wee look in the contents of the DHCP scope here. And we'll see that we've got 2 little server icons, kind of difficult to see, IPv4 and IPv6. So what we're going to do now is we're going to right click on IPv4 and say we want to create a new scope. Okay, and it's going to bring up a thing called the new scope wizard. So let's give the scope a name. Now I'm going to just jump over to the TMA to get the right name. ECO1.scope. Right. So let's call it ECO1.scope, and we can add some arbitrary description. Group 1 scope. Now, we're on 10.10.10.1, okay? So I would like this scope to start on 10, and if you press space it'll let you jump between the octets, 10 and 100. Okay, and I want it to end on 10, 10, 10, 110. So we're gonna have 10 IP addresses in our scope. And let's set the subnet mask to /24. And as you look, you can see as we change the prefix bits, it increases the bits in the mask. So there we go, /23, /24. There we go. Next, so we've got 10, 10, 10, 100 to 10, 10, 10, 110. Right, now this is if we want to add any exclusions. So for example, if we had a server, a print server, a router, something that we didn't want, we can add that, or we can even add a range of IPs to exclude, but we're not going to do that just now. Leave the lease duration, as someone asked earlier, as 8 days. And yes, I want to configure these options now. Now, are we going to add a default gateway? We can add the default gateway, we can make that the server, okay? 10, 10, 1, right, and just hit add. Now, this is where we can add some DHCP options, and this is a little bit beyond the scope of this, but I'm going to show you this anyway while we're here. Now, interestingly, okay, it's populated the parent domain, but it's asking if we want to add any DNS servers, okay, and I'm going to add a public DNS server, which is this one, 1.1.1.1. That's a Cloudflare public DNS. So let's add that, and it's going to validate it. It's validating, and it likes it. Okay, it's happy. It went on the internet and checked if that was a DNS server, and it is. Now I don't really like the fact that these are in here, but I'm going to remove them actually. Okay, remove, remove, remove. And the DNS server that I also want to send out is the domain controller, 10.10.10.1. Okay, so let's add that in as well. There we go. Now, I'm concerned that it's going to send out 1111 as the primary DNS server, so I'm just going to remove that and then add it again. And hopefully that will go out as the secondary DNS server. Fingers crossed. Next. Any Win servers, we don't want any Win servers. And let's activate the scope now. And finish. Okay, so now we have our scope running, and if we go into address leases, we'll see that there's nothing. Refresh, nothing there. Because we don't have any clients at the moment using DHCP. So, let's start up the client operating system. So let's go send control delete. George Bush was last logged in. Let's log in as another user. Alright, I'm going to log in as administrator because I want to change some of the network configuration. So let's go administrator, and we want to go to now I'm wondering why it's telling me to sign into there. I don't want to sign in as that, so I'm going to actually specify the domain net BIOS name just there to make sure we are signing into the domain. So let's go sign in. Alright, it's letting me in. Good. So while that's sorting its life out in the background, giving me this out-of-box experience, I'm going to go back over to the server. Alright, and I promised I would reboot the server to cheer things up. So let's do that now while we're over setting up the client. So let's do restart, and we'll say that we've done operating system maintenance planned. Restart anyway. So let's get that server restarting in the background and pop over to the client machine here. So here I am on the client machine, and I'm logged in as the domain administrator, logged into the domain. And let's just go in and have a look at the network configuration. So open network and internet settings, and we want to get to the network and sharing center, change adapter settings, and let's have a look at the properties of. So at the moment we're on 10.10.10.10. Okay, now I'm going to do Windows key and R to open up the run prompt and open up the command prompt, and I'm going to do ipconfig, and let me just make the text a little bit bigger in here. Properties, font, options, colors. What's font? Here we go. Let's put it on 24. That's a bit better. So at the moment we're on 10.10.10.10 with no gateway. Okay, and if we do ipconfig/all, okay, we can see that at the moment there's a DNS is set up. Okay, we have a DNS server 10.10.10.1, and we it should give us our primary DNS suffixes here, but there's DHCP enabled is set to no. Okay, let's not worry about that. I don't want to see fewer notifications. I'll just leave that there. So let's go back to the server now. VM, send control delete, log in as administrator. First time lucky. Now, our server was on 10.10.10. Open up the command prompt. ipconfig. So our server's on 10.10.10.1 and our client is on 10.10.10.10. So let's just see if we can ping that server. Ping 10.10 numlock 10.10.10.1. Right, so the server's replying, which is good. Notice as well, this first one, we lost about 15 milliseconds. That's because there was an ARP request taking place. And look, we can see now that we have the physical address stored in this machine's ARP cache. So let's do the ipconfig / just go for a basic ipconfig. Right, so now what I'm going to do on the client machine is I'm going to set this to obtain an IP address automatically. And let's just click OK. We'll leave the DNS server just now and then just minimize that. Now if I press up and check, you'll see this is different now, isn't it? I'm now getting an IP address of 10.10.10.100 because that was the first IP address in the DHCP scope over on the machine. And if I go back in to the settings here, properties, IPv4 properties, we'll see that this is on obtain IP address automatically. So it's getting an IP address from a server. And if I now run, okay, ipconfig/all, we'll see that we now have some information. DHCP is enabled, yes. Auto configuration enabled, yes. IPv4 address, there, okay. DHCP server, 10.10.10.1, okay. So we're getting this information from our DHCP server. Now, let me go and see what happens if I set the DNS to obtain automatically from the DHCP server. So let's go back in. This is a bit more of an experimental phase, this. Obtain DNS server automatically. Close, close, close. Let's look at that. There is that additional DHCP server that I added, 1111. So now we're actually able to send extra information out using the DHCP protocol. Now if we go back over to the server and we open up DHCP Manager, now that Server Manager is loaded, let's go Tools, DHCP, and open up the Management Console for DHCP, we should see that we have an active lease. I imagine there's also, well, let's have a look in here and let's just see. So IPv4, server options, hang on, the top, IPv4, scope, address leases, and we can see that we've leased to this client here. There's the client's, the CNAME, the host name, the lease expiration, and so on. Now we could actually set that as a reserved IP address so that that client would always get that add to reservation, and that's I find that that's quite a good trick actually. So let's just go now. Some of the other options that are possible, if we go to scope options, we'll see that we have a set of numbered options, okay, like for example option 3 is the router IP, option 6 is DNS servers, option 15 is DNS domain name. If I right click here and say configure options, I can send any one of these, you know, options. So I could send an IRC chat server through DHCP option 74. I can send POP3, I can send mail servers as well. I can send, let's see other ones that are kind of relevant, NTP servers out to the client as well to synchronize the time. Now, something interesting about the server at the moment is that you might notice, you know, on my computer it says 11:40, but the server thinks that it's 3:40 in the morning. So maybe that's something that we can look at, setting up NTP. But for basic DHCP configuration, we now have a working DHCP server. So any new clients that we add to this domain, we just need to plug them in, and the server, as long as they're in the same LAN segment, as long as they're on the same link, the server will be able to issue them with the relevant information to join the domain. To set up NIC teaming, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some additional network adapters to the current LAN segment. I'm going to turn network adapter 2 back to the LAN segment. Let's add another one, network adapter 3, network adapter 4. Put them all in the same link, okay? Save that, and we should see those all sitting there. So let's start up the operating system now that we've added those. And then I'm going to show you how we can group those together in what's called a NIC team. Okay, so we can team them together using the NIC teaming features of the server. So I'm going to open Network and Internet Settings and open up the Network and Sharing Center. And here we go. Right, so we have these 4 Ethernet adapters. And if we go to Change Adapter Settings, Okay, we can see them all sitting there happy. Now this one, Ethernet 1, we actually go into the properties of Ethernet 1, go there. It's just sitting on DHCP. And that's the way it should be. So let's go to our server manager, local server, and let's enable NIC teaming. Okay, so let's just click on that, enable. Right, and that's going to bring up this NIC teaming management interface. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new team adapter. This is like a group adapter here. So let's go new team, and in this NIC team we're going to put all the adapters. Okay, and we'll call this team office underscore hashing. Reason I'm calling it that is because that's what it gets called in a LinkedIn learning course by someone who's much better at this than me. Now if we go to additional properties, there are some options that we need to put here, and if I get this right, I think we want to go for a dynamic switch independent address hash team. Okay, so let's just hit OK. Let me just double check that that's right. Office hashing, switch independent NIC team. Switch independent. Yes, switch independent. Do we want to go dynamic or address hash? Let's go address hash. Click OK. The virtual machine's operating system has attempted to enable promiscuous mode on adapter 3. This is not allowed for security reasons. Right, that's fine. Okay. So now we have 3 adapters that are in the faulted state, like that. Let's see if I can do properties. Faulted. Okay, let's edit this then and change it to dynamic and see if that'll cheer it up. The only valid load balancing algorithm are transport fly. Oh, it seems to like that. Okay, so we want a dynamic, in a switch independent dynamic team, not an address hash team. Okay, so now if we go back to the network and sharing center, we'll see there's a new adapter, and that adapter is called Office Hashing, and it's a Microsoft adapter, a multiplex adapter. It's a group adapter. It's the NIC team adapter. Okay, and it's now adopted the ec.sa IP address from Ethernet 0. So let's pop this over here to one side and show how we can make this work. Let's just do that. Let's open up our command prompt, Windows key and R, and pop our command prompt over here. So let's ping 10.10.10.1. Okay. Well, that's not good, is it? Let's check our IP address. IP config. Got nothing at the moment. That is not good. Okay. Ethernet adapter 0 properties. IPv4. Ah, okay, it's not letting me go in there. Okay, so let's go to Office Hashing properties, IPv4. Right, let's put 10.10.10.1 in there. And let's do 255, 255, 255, 0. DNS, we'll just set it to 10.10.10.1. Right, click OK, close. Let's try and run ipconfig again. Okay, we're back to where we were before. Now, if I ping, okay, by default it's going to just send it's going to just send 4 pings. So if I do ping with /t, okay, it's going to keep pinging. It'll keep going until I tell it to stop. Okay, so now let's run the ping /t and hopefully it'll work. There, it's running. Now, to show that this is working, if I now disable Ethernet 0, watch this, disable, the ping keeps going. If I now disable Ethernet 3, the ping keeps going. If I now disable Ethernet 2, the ping will keep running. If I now disable Ethernet, so we're going to disable all 4 adapters. Now it's dead, okay? But let's bring back on the third adapter, and we should see that the ping will start working again. There we are, we're back up and running. So that is how we enable and set up NIC teaming